The conference hall buzzed with translated voices as 47 species debated military doctrine. Commander Tulvaxis of the Kraltech Dominion activated the holographic display with a sharp click of his mandibles. Projections filled the air showing various species in combat scenarios, each one helpless without their technological weapons. "The evidence is undeniable," Tulvaxis announced, his four arms gesturing at the floating images. "Civilization requires tools. Without manufactured weapons, sapient beings revert to prey status. This is universal law." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled delegates. The insectoid Kraltech had built their reputation on martial prowess, and few challenged their assessments. Patricia Wells sat in the back row with her small human delegation, watching the presentation with growing irritation. "Even the newer species understand this principle," Tulvaxis continued. "The humans from Earth, despite their primitive firearms and explosive devices, demonstrate complete reliance on external armaments. Strip away their tools, and they become as vulnerable as any other civilization." That's when Hugh Brennan laughed. It wasn't a polite diplomatic chuckle. It was a genuine, deep laugh that cut through the chamber's ambient noise like a blade. Every translator in the room conveyed the same message of amused disbelief. 47 species turned to stare at the human section. Patricia grabbed Hugh's arm. "What are you doing?" she hissed. Hugh stood up, still grinning. "Sorry, I couldn't help it," he called out to the chamber. Tulvaxis's compound eyes focused on the human. "You find strategic analysis amusing, Representative Brennan. I find it hilarious that you've convinced yourselves of something so completely wrong." Hugh stepped into the aisle. "Commander, you've studied our weapons technology, right? Our guns, missiles, all that fancy hardware." "Extensively," Tulvaxis replied, mandibles twitching with annoyance. "Did you study what we used before we invented those weapons? Sharpened stones and wooden implements, irrelevant primitive tools." Tulvaxis waved a dismissive claw. Hugh's grin widened. "I'm not talking about tools, Commander. I'm talking about what we are." The Silvari Observer, a crystalline being that moderated the summit, chimed in. "Please clarify your statement, Human Brennan." Gladly, Hugh walked toward the center of the chamber. "You're operating under a fundamental misunderstanding. Humanity didn't become apex predators because we invented spears. We invented spears because we were already apex predators and wanted a sporting chance for our prey." The chamber erupted in confused chatter. David Okonkwo, the third human delegate, buried his face in his hands. "Ridiculous," Tulvaxis declared. "Your species is physically unremarkable, average strength, moderate speed, no natural armor or weapons. You are the definition of a species requiring technological advancement to survive." "Then let me demonstrate," Hugh said simply. Patricia stood up. "Hugh, this is not the time for." "I volunteer to prove the humans' claim false." A young Kraltech warrior named Zivrak stepped forward. "I will show this soft creature what combat truly means." The Silvari Observer's facets rotated, considering. "This is highly irregular." "But educational," Hugh countered. "You want to establish galactic combat standards. Shouldn't those standards be based on accurate information?" After a moment's deliberation, the Silvari Observer agreed. "No weapons, no tools, physical capability demonstration only. Do both parties consent?" Eagerly, Zivrax clicked his mandibles in what his species considered a battle grin. "Absolutely." Hugh began removing his diplomatic jacket. A circular space cleared in the chamber's center. Delegates leaned forward with interest. Zivrak stood 7 feet tall, his exoskeleton gleaming under the station's lights. 4 powerful arms flexed, each capable of crushing steel. His species had evolved on a high-gravity world where only the strong survived. Hugh rolled up his sleeves, looking almost casual. He was average height for a human, lean rather than bulky, with the kind of weathered appearance that spoke of years in harsh conditions. "This will be brief," Tulvaxis muttered to his aide. Hugh addressed the room one more time. Before we start, I want you all to understand something. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. Look it up later if you don't believe me. Everything on my planet evolved to kill everything else. Predators hunting predators in an endless cycle. Fascinating biology lesson, Zivrax interrupted. Are you finished stalling? Just setting context. Hugh's entire demeanor shifted. The friendly smile vanished. His posture changed from relaxed to coiled. See, humans didn't just survive on Earth. We dominated it. We hunted creatures 10 times our size to extinction using nothing but persistence and pattern recognition. Zivrax lunged without further warning. 4 arms extended in a devastating attack pattern that had defeated countless opponents. Hugh didn't retreat. He moved forward, slipping inside Zivrax's reach with fluid precision. His hands found weak points in the exoskeleton armor where segments joined. He struck with calculated force, not wild aggression. Zivrax stumbled, shocked. No opponent had ever moved like that. The human fought without any recognizable martial form, adapting instantly to Zivrax's fighting style. Around the chamber, predator species sat up straighter. Something ancient in their evolutionary memory recognized what they were seeing. This wasn't civilized combat. This was hunting behavior. Hugh circled Zivrax with patient, measured steps. Every movement served a purpose. He was studying, learning, adapting in real time. When Zivrax attacked again, Hugh had already predicted the pattern. Impossible, Tulvaxis whispered. He's reading Zivrax's movements. Patricia watched with resigned familiarity. She'd seen Hugh's military file. 15 years in special operations, classified missions across a dozen hostile environments. The man standing in that circle wasn't a diplomat. He was something Earth had spent 200,000 years perfecting. Zivrax grew frustrated. His attacks became more aggressive, less controlled. Hugh remained calm, breathing steady, eyes tracking every movement with predatory focus. Your warrior is tiring, the Silvari observer noted. Kraltech physiology is designed for explosive combat, Patricia explained. Short, powerful engagements. Hugh's species evolved for persistence hunting. We can maintain combat effectiveness for hours. Zivrax charged with all 4 arms spread wide, attempting to overwhelm through sheer force. Hugh dropped low, swept the legs, used Zivrax's momentum against him. The Kraltech warrior crashed to the floor with enough force to crack the deck plating. Before Zivrax could recover, Hugh had him in a submission hold. Yield, Hugh said quietly. I don't want to hurt you. Zivrax struggled, but Hugh's grip was positioned perfectly. Honor demanded he continue. Hugh applied pressure. The sound of cracking exoskeleton echoed through the silent chamber. I yield, Zivrax gasped. Hugh released him immediately and helped the warrior stand. You fought well, he said with genuine respect. The chamber remained silent as Hugh walked back to his seat. Patricia handed him his jacket without a word. Finally, Tulvaxis spoke. That was one demonstration, hardly representative of an entire species. Hugh sat down, slightly winded but otherwise unharmed. Commander, that wasn't me showing off. That was me holding back. You wanted to know if humans can fight without weapons. He gestured to himself. We are the weapons, we always have been. The Silvari observer's facets spun rapidly, processing. This summit was called to establish military standards. Human Brennan has raised questions that require further examination. Around the room, species began urgent conversations. Some saw opportunity, others saw threat. All of them saw humanity differently than they had 10 minutes ago. David leaned over to Patricia. Do you think he just started a galactic incident? Patricia watched as various delegates requested private meetings with the human delegation. I think he just redefined humanity's position in galactic politics. Hugh stretched his shoulders, working out the stiffness. I just got tired of being underestimated, he said simply. In the back of the chamber, an unmarked vessel's sensors recorded everything. Its message transmitted across encrypted channels. Target species more dangerous than projected. Recommend threat reassessment. The summit continued, but nothing would be the same. 2 hours after Hugh's demonstration, the chamber had transformed into organized chaos. Species representatives clustered in groups, arguing over what they'd witnessed. The Kraltech delegation sat in isolated silence, recalibrating their entire understanding of combat effectiveness. The Thorian Confederacy requested the floor. Their representative, a being of living crystal named Shard, stepped forward with light refracting through his faceted body. "We wish to test this human's claims." His voice resonated like wind chimes. "Our physiology makes us nearly indestructible. Surely this is a true measure of species capability." Hugh started to stand, but Patricia pulled him back down. "You've made your point," she whispered urgently. "They're not going to let this go," Hugh replied. "Better to control the narrative now than have rumors spread across the galaxy." David intervened. "If we do this, we need to frame it properly, not as human superiority, but as educational exchange." The Silvari observer agreed to another demonstration. Shard's crystalline form moved to the center space, each step creating harmonic vibrations. "I am functionally immune to physical damage," he announced. "My body regenerates from fractures within seconds. How does flesh and bone overcome living diamond?" Hugh approached slowly. "That's the wrong question," he said. "You're asking how to beat superior defense. The answer is you don't. You change the victory conditions." Before Shard could respond, Hugh attacked, not with force but with precision. He targeted the sensory organs, covering Shard's optical facets with his hands. Shard stumbled, disoriented. Hugh swept his legs, used momentum to topple the crystalline being. Shard crashed down but immediately began to rise. Hugh didn't try to damage him. Instead, he maintained position, keeping Shard off balance, controlling his orientation. For every attempt Shard made to stand, Hugh had a counter. "This is absurd," Shard chimed in frustration. "You cannot harm me." "I don't need to," Hugh replied, breathing steadily. "I just need to control you. How long can you fight if you can't stand, can't see, can't orient yourself? I can do this for hours, can you?" After 3 minutes of futile struggling, Shard signaled surrender. "Point made, human. Superior defense means nothing if combat effectiveness is neutralized." The chamber erupted in discussion. Commander Tolvaxis stood abruptly. "This changes military doctrine across the galaxy." His mandibles clicked rapidly. "We've built our strategies on material superiority. The human demonstrates that adaptability trumps static advantage." Patricia seized the moment. "That's exactly what we want to discuss." She activated her own display. "Humanity has developed over 2,000 distinct combat systems across our history, not because we're naturally violent, but because we're naturally adaptive. Every environment, every opponent, every situation demanded new solutions." Images flashed across the screen. Humans fighting in frozen wastelands, scorching deserts, dense jungles, urban ruins. "We didn't master one form of combat. We mastered the concept of combat itself." A Brenthax scientist, their tentacles writing furiously, raised a concern. "This level of combat diversity suggests constant warfare. Is humanity a fundamentally aggressive species?" David handled the question. "Aggressive? No. Competitive? Absolutely. We fought each other for 200,000 years because we were the only species on Earth that could challenge us. It wasn't hatred. It was evolution pushing us to excel." "You mean your species committed genocide against itself for genetic superiority?" A Vren collective representative accused, their energy form pulsing with alarm. Hugh rejoined the conversation. "We call it history. We're not proud of it, but we learned from it. Every war taught us new ways to survive. More importantly, it taught us new ways to make peace." He paused. "You want to know the real human advantage. It's not that we're good at fighting, it's that we know when to stop." The Gentle Whisperers delegation, a species of empathic pacifists, approached tentatively. "We wish to understand this violent knowledge." Their representative spoke in barely audible tones. "Not to practice it, but to comprehend it. How can we promote peace if we don't understand what drives conflict? Hugh's expression softened. That's the wisest thing anyone said here today, he addressed the full chamber. You're all focused on the fighting. You should be asking about the survival. Humanity didn't reach the stars through violence. We reached them despite it. We learned to channel aggression into progress. Patricia pulled up Earth's historical records. Our planet's gravity is higher than 70% of known habitable worlds. Our atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which makes everything burn faster, including our metabolisms. Our weather systems are catastrophically unpredictable. We have megafauna that could crush most species here without effort. She looked around the room. Earth is a Class 12 death world. We evolved in hell and learned to thrive. The implications settled over the assembly like a heavy blanket. Species began accessing Earth's classification data. Murmurs of disbelief spread as they confirmed Patricia's claims. Commander Tulvaxis approached the human delegation privately. "You've made yourselves targets," he said bluntly. "Every militaristic species will either want you as allies or want you eliminated. Every peaceful species will fear you." Or, Patricia countered, "We become teachers. We share what we've learned. We help other species develop their own adaptive capabilities." "You would give away your advantages." Tulvaxis's mandibles expressed confusion. Hugh answered, "Advantages aren't worth much if they make you enemies. We'd rather have partners who understand us than subjects who fear us." The Silvari observer called for order. The human delegation proposes an exchange program, teaching adaptive combat theory to interested species. The council must vote. Species caucused. The younger civilizations saw opportunity. Older, established powers saw disruption to traditional hierarchies. The vote passed by a narrow margin. Patricia activated her communicator. "Earth, we've been approved to establish a combat training exchange program. Send the specialists." "Understood," came the reply. "What should we tell them about the situation?" Patricia glanced at Hugh, who was surrounded by eager species representatives asking questions. "Tell them to bring patience. We're not training soldiers. We're changing how the galaxy thinks about conflict." In the corner, the Kraltech delegation held an emergency meeting. Tulvaxis addressed his warriors. "We've spent a millennium believing we were the galaxy's supreme fighters. These humans defeated our champion in minutes. Worse, they did it without hatred, without pride. They did it to teach." He paused. "We must learn from them or become obsolete." Young Zivrax, still nursing his bruised exoskeleton, spoke up. "Commander, the human helped me stand after defeating me, showed respect for my effort. This is not how conquerors behave." "No," Tulvaxis agreed. "This is how teachers behave. Perhaps that's more dangerous." Across the station, various species began forming opinions. The Halnari Trade Consortium saw profit in human security services. The Scientific Collective wanted to study human evolutionary adaptation. The Confederation of Elder Species watched from a distance with growing concern. David received a coded message. His expression darkened. "Patricia, we have a problem." "Only one," she replied dryly. "There's chatter about species considering preemptive containment. They're calling us a Category 5 threat." Hugh overheard, "Let them talk we can handle. It's silence that's dangerous." Patricia wasn't convinced. "We've opened a door we can't close. Whether that's good or bad depends on what walks through it." The summit continued, but the galaxy had fundamentally shifted. Humanity was no longer the curious newcomer, they were the unpredictable variable, and variables made empires nervous. In the depths of space, old powers convened. "The humans must be managed," voices agreed, "before they disrupt everything we've built." On Earth, military academies began preparing for an influx of alien students. Humanity was about to become the galaxy's most controversial teachers. And in that chamber, Hugh Brennan sat down with the gentle whisperers, beginning their first lesson in understanding violence. "We'll start with why beings fight," he said gently, "and work backward to what prevents it." The future remained unwritten, but humanity had claimed its pen. 3 days into the summit, reality crashed through diplomatic pretense. Unidentified vessels materialized at the station's perimeter without warning or permission. Their energy signatures predated most species' star charts. The Confederation of Elder Species had arrived. Patricia watched through the observation window as 5 massive constructs phased into normal space. They weren't ships in any conventional sense. They were manifestations of technology so advanced it resembled natural phenomena. "I was hoping we'd have more time," David muttered, reviewing the new arrivals' identification codes. The architects, timekeepers, voidborn, resonance, and firstborn. Collectively, they've existed for over 40 million years. Hugh joined them at the window. "Let me guess, they're not here to congratulate us." The answer came quickly. The elder delegation materialized directly in the council chamber, bypassing all security protocols. The architect's spokesperson, a being whose body seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, addressed the assembly without preamble. "We've observed your recent proceedings with concern." The architect's voice resonated across every frequency. "The human species represents a destabilizing element in galactic equilibrium." Patricia stepped forward. "We've offered partnership, not conquest." "Intention is irrelevant," the timekeeper interjected, their form flickering between past and future states. "We've analyzed probable timelines. 73% result in galaxy-scale conflict involving humanity." "What about the other 27%? David challenged. The timekeeper's form solidified briefly. "Those timelines require containment measures we're here to implement." Commander Tolvaxis stood. "The Kraltech Dominion objects. Humanity has proven themselves worthy of." The Voidborn, a creature of living darkness, silenced him with a gesture. "Young species do not comprehend the scope of our experience. We've witnessed civilizations rise and fall. Deathworld species invariably bring chaos." Hugh laughed, not the friendly chuckle from before, but a sharp, defiant sound. "So you're scared? Good, you should be." The chamber gasped collectively. No one addressed elders with such disrespect. "Explain yourself," the architect demanded. "You've watched the galaxy for 40 million years," Hugh's voice carried across the station. "You've grown comfortable, predictable, stagnant. We're disrupting your carefully controlled ecosystem. That's not danger, that's evolution." The resonant warrior Luminos materialized, a being of pure energy who'd fought for 3 million years. "Primitive arrogance. You demonstrate basic combat capability and think yourselves exceptional." "I think we're different," Hugh corrected, "and different scares you because you can't control it." "This council proposes protective quarantine," the architect announced. "Humanity confined to their home system for 10,000 years of cultural maturation." Patricia's diplomatic composure cracked. "You're talking about imprisoning an entire species for crimes we haven't committed." "Crimes you will commit," the timekeeper stated. "We've seen it." "Future sight isn't certainty," David argued. "Timelines branch with every choice. You're condemning us for possibilities, not actions." The firstborn spoke, their silicon-based form barely moving. They rarely communicated, which made their words carry weight. "We've seen your pattern before. Aggressive expansion, technological advancement through conflict, resource consumption without equilibrium consideration. You are textbook precursors to galactic catastrophe." Hugh stood slowly. "Prove it." "Excuse me." The architect's multi-dimensional form rippled with irritation. "You claim to understand humanity. Prove it." Hugh walked toward the elder delegation. "Fight me. If you win, we accept quarantine voluntarily. If I win, you withdraw your containment proposal and leave us alone." "You propose to fight us," Luminos pulsed with amused energy. "We who have shaped galaxies." "I propose to show you what you've missed in 40 million years of observation," Hugh replied. The gentle whisperers stood unexpectedly. "If humanity fights, we stand with them in spirit." One by one, species that had trained with humans over the past days rose. The Kraltech, The Brenthak, the Thorians, even the cautious Halnari. "This is not your concern," the Voidborn rumbled. Commander Tolvaxis's mandibles clicked firmly. "You make it our concern when you threaten our teachers." The architects conferred silently. Finally, they agreed. "We accept your challenge, but we set terms: no physical combat, too primitive. A simulation, hostile environment, no weapons, you against our champion." Luminos stepped forward. "I volunteer, 3 million years of combat experience against your decades." Hugh smiled grimly. "When do we start?" 24 hours, the architect stated. "Prepare yourself, human, this challenge will break you." After the elders departed, Patricia grabbed Hugh. "This is suicide. Luminos is pure energy. How do you hurt energy?" "I don't," Hugh said calmly. "I outlast it." David pulled up everything known about resonant warriors. They're functionally immortal, limitless stamina, can phase between matter and energy states. You literally can't win. "Then I'll lose in a way that proves our point." Hugh headed toward the training facilities. "Humanity doesn't quit. That's our real advantage." The next day, species from across the galaxy gathered. The simulation arena spawned a perfect replica of Earth's Amazon rainforest. Earth gravity, Earth atmosphere, Earth dangers. Hugh entered wearing simple combat clothes. Luminos manifested as shifting patterns of brilliant light. "Your ancestors feared the dark," Luminos' voice echoed. "I am older than your species' existence. This is futility." "Maybe," Hugh settled into a ready stance, "but it's our futility." The simulation began. Luminos attacked with energy blasts that incinerated trees. Hugh dodged using the terrain. When Luminos shifted to energy form, Hugh disrupted his visual tracking with smoke. When Luminos became matter, Hugh struck at the transition points. "You're studying me," Luminos realized after several exchanges. "Welcome to how humans hunt," Hugh replied, bleeding from burns but still moving. The fight continued. Hugh couldn't hurt Luminos, but he adapted to every attack pattern, learned the timing of matter-energy transitions, used the environment creatively, turned Luminos' own power against him by predicting energy blast. Trajectories. Patricia watched from the observation deck. "He's not trying to win, he's trying to survive as long as possible." David understood. "He's demonstrating that humans don't need victory conditions. We just need to refuse defeat." Hours passed. Hugh was battered, burned, exhausted. Luminos remained pristine, but something had changed. The energy being's attacks had become cautious, respectful. "Why don't you yield?" Luminos asked during a brief pause. Hugh, barely standing, grinned through blood and ash. "Because yielding isn't in our nature. You can beat me, you can probably kill me, but I won't quit. That's not evolution, that's choice." The elders stopped the simulation. Hugh collapsed immediately. Medical teams rushed in. The architect addressed the assembly. "The human didn't win." "But your champion didn't either," Commander Tolvaxis countered. "In Kraltech culture, surviving impossible odds is victory." Luminos manifested beside Hugh's unconscious form. "In 3 million years, no one has fought me like that." The energy being's voice carried unexpected respect. "Not with hope of winning, but with certainty of trying. This is not a species that accepts containment." The timekeeper flickered. "We've observed new timeline branches. This defiance creates variables we didn't calculate." The firstborn spoke again, shocking everyone. "We've existed 40 million years through caution. Humanity has existed 200,000 through boldness. Perhaps wisdom requires both perspectives." After lengthy deliberation, the elders announced their decision. Containment withdrawn, but humanity would accept oversight protocols and regular evaluations. Patricia negotiated furiously. "That's imprisonment with diplomatic language." The firstborn approached her directly. "No, it's trust with verification. We've learned to be cautious. Perhaps you can teach us to be bold again. Perhaps we can teach you sustainable caution." Hugh regained consciousness in medical bay. "Did we win?" "We didn't lose," Patricia said. In this galaxy, that counts as victory. Luminos appeared. I wish to learn from you, human who refuses to quit. Hugh managed a weak smile. I'm not a teacher. Then you'll be a terrible one, Luminos pulsed with what might have been humor. When do we start? The galaxy had seen humanity's true nature. Not just warriors but survivors, not conquerors but persisters. The question now was, what would humanity choose to become? 6 months transformed the galaxy's landscape. Training facilities orbited neutral worlds where species once hostile now sparred together. Hugh ran morning sessions with mixed groups, teaching principles rather than techniques. Combat isn't about strength, he told a class of 20 different species. It's about adaptation. Your Kraltech classmate has 4 arms, your Brenthak partner can breathe underwater. Your advantage is understanding how to work with them, not against them. Luminos observed from the corner, his energy form pulsing thoughtfully. The ancient warrior had become Hugh's most dedicated student, not learning to fight but learning why humans fought differently. Patricia managed administrative chaos from the central hub. Over 400 species had sent representatives. The program had evolved beyond combat training into conflict resolution, strategic thinking, cultural exchange. We accidentally built a galactic university, David commented, reviewing enrollment data. Better than building a galactic army, Patricia replied, though her expression remained troubled. An emergency transmission interrupted her review. The Outer Rim territories requesting assistance. Pirate coalitions had overwhelmed local security forces using guerrilla tactics that traditional military doctrine couldn't counter. The council convened quickly. Commander Tolvaxis analyzed the situation. Standard response would be deploying fleet assets, but these pirates operate in asteroid fields and nebula clouds. Conventional forces are ineffective. They're using hit-and-run tactics, Hugh noted, studying the attack patterns. Asymmetric warfare, the locals are fighting by rulebook, the pirates are fighting to survive. You recognize their strategy, a Sylvari representative observed. I helped write this playbook, Hugh admitted. Earth's history is full of smaller forces defeating larger ones through adaptability and refusal to fight fair. The affected species requested human military intervention. Patricia hesitated. If we deploy human forces, we prove the elders right about us being militarily aggressive. David proposed an alternative. We send trainers, not soldiers, teach the locals to counter these tactics themselves. The architect, monitoring from a distance, approved. This tests whether humans can teach restraint as well as violence. Proceed. Hugh assembled a team, himself, Commander Tolvaxis, Luminos, and 3 human specialists. David accompanied as observer. They arrived at the besieged Outer Rim station within days. Station Commander Salvis, a tentacled Brenthak, greeted them with skepticism. You're going to teach us in days what takes years to learn. No, Hugh corrected. We're going to teach you to think differently. You'll develop solutions suited to your capabilities, not ours. The training began immediately. Hugh assessed Brenthak physiology and tactics. You're trying to fight like Kraltech, heavily armored, direct confrontation. That's not your strength. Then what is? Salvis demanded. You're aquatic. This station has water recycling systems throughout. The pirates have to breathe air. Hugh pulled up station schematics. You can move through areas they can't, communicate through bioluminescence they can't intercept. You're trying to win their fight, make them fight yours instead. Commander Tolvaxis added Kraltech perspective. My people learned painfully that superior force means nothing without superior strategy. The humans defeated us by changing the rules. Now we help you change yours. Luminos contributed energy warfare theory. In 3 million years, I've never lost because I fought stronger. I won because I fought smarter. Power without intelligence is just noise. The Brenthak security forces absorbed the lessons. Within a week, they developed tactics suited to their biology. When pirates attacked next, the response shocked everyone. Brenthak forces didn't meet the pirates in open combat. They used the station's water systems as highways, created bioluminescent signals the pirates couldn't decode, employed persistence tactics, attacking and retreating, wearing down pirate resources. The pirates, expecting conventional defense, found themselves fighting an enemy that was everywhere and nowhere. They retreated, confused and demoralized. Salvus approached Hugh afterward. "You didn't teach us to be human, you taught us to be better, Brenthak." "That's the point," Hugh replied. "Adaptability isn't copying someone else's tactics, it's developing your own based on understanding theirs." News of the success spread. Dozens of species requested similar training. Patricia realized they'd created something unprecedented. Not a military force, but a distributed defense philosophy. "We're changing how the galaxy thinks about security," David observed. "Which makes us either heroes or threats, depending on who's asking," Patricia replied. The threat assessment came quickly. A group of Corthian cadets, militaristic species known for territorial expansion, attempted to use human-taught tactics for aggressive purposes. Hugh shut down their training session immediately. "Get out." The lead Corthian protested. "We paid for this training." "I'm not training conquerors," Hugh's voice carried dangerous edge. "You learned how to fight, you didn't learn when to fight, that's the crucial difference." "But you said humans fought each other constantly." "And we nearly destroyed ourselves doing it." Hugh's expression hardened. "Don't repeat our mistakes, learn from them. Violence is a tool, not a solution. If you can't understand that distinction, you don't deserve the training." The Corthians left, bitter and resentful. Patricia worried about political ramifications. "We might have just made enemies." "Better enemies who know our standards than allies without principles," Hugh replied. A crisis emerged weeks later. Two species, the Raven and Sulek, approached war over resource disputes. Both had trained in human tactics. Both believed they could win. The Galactic Council requested human mediation. David led the negotiation team with Hugh and Tolvaxis as advisors. The Raven commander spoke confidently. "We've learned human warfare. We'll crush the Sulek in weeks." The Sulek representative countered. "We've trained equally. We'll destroy the Raven completely." Hugh let them posture. Then he activated a combat simulation. "Show me." The two sides engaged in simulated warfare using their newly learned tactics. The fight was brutal, efficient, devastating. Both sides suffered massive casualties despite their advanced training. Hugh stopped the simulation. "You both just won. How do you feel?" The Raven commander sat heavily. "Horrible, we'd lose thousands." "Exactly," Hugh leaned forward. "You've learned how to fight. Now learn what fighting costs. Every human doctrine comes with blood knowledge. We know how much warfare hurts because we've paid that price repeatedly." David facilitated fresh negotiations, resource-sharing agreements, joint development zones, mutual benefit calculations. Within hours, both sides found compromise. The Sulek representative thanked Hugh. "You taught us to fight." "No," Hugh corrected. "I taught you that you can fight. There's a difference. Knowing you can win makes peace negotiations more honest. Both sides respect each other's capability." The successful mediation proved humanity's balanced approach. The elders observed with cautious approval. The architect sent private message to Patricia. "You've passed our test. Humanity understands power requires responsibility." The timekeeper added, "New timeline branches show decreased conflict probability. Your species teaches both sword and shield." The firstborn in rare communication stated simply, "You've earned trust, maintain it." Galactic Council convened for formal recognition. Humanity granted full membership status, oversight protocols removed, the probation ended. Patricia addressed the assembly. "We didn't come to the stars to conquer, we came to grow. We offer what we learned through hardship so others don't have to learn through blood." Commander Tolvaxis stood. "The Kraltech Dominion proposes formal alliance with humanity. not as subordinates but as partners who share knowledge equally. Species after species pledged cooperation. The Human Combat Training Exchange Program transformed into the Galactic Integration Defense Initiative. Multi-species leadership, collaborative doctrine development, shared responsibility. Hugh declined official leadership. I'm a soldier, not an administrator, but I'll keep teaching anyone willing to learn. Luminos manifested beside him. Then we'll keep learning together, warrior eternal. The galaxy had accepted humanity not through conquest but through demonstrated wisdom, the balance between strength and restraint, violence and peace, capability and responsibility. In quiet moments, Hugh stood at observation windows, watching ships from hundreds of species moving peacefully. "We did it," he said softly. Patricia joined him. "We proved we're more than Deathworlders." "We proved we learned from being Deathworlders," Hugh corrected. "That's the real victory." Across the stars, former enemies trained together. Species shared knowledge freely. The galaxy evolved through cooperation rather than domination. And humanity stood at the center, not as conquerors, but as teachers who'd learned their lessons the hard way and chose to share them anyway. 1 year after Hugh's laugh changed galactic politics, the training facilities hummed with activity across a dozen worlds. Species that hadn't spoken in centuries now shared combat philosophies and defensive strategies. The galaxy had discovered something unexpected. Learning to fight together taught cooperation better than any diplomatic treaty. Hugh stood in the main facility's observation deck, watching a joint exercise between Kraltek and Gentle Whisperers. The unlikely pair moved in synchronized patterns, each covering the other's weaknesses. "Never thought I'd see that," Commander Tolvaxis commented, joining him. "My warriors protecting pacifists, pacifists teaching my warriors patience." "That's the real lesson," Hugh replied. "Strength means nothing without someone to protect. Protection means nothing without strength to back it. They complete each other." Patricia interrupted their reflection. "We have a situation. Earth wants to expand the program." David arrived with the full message. "They want us to formalize everything, create an official human-led galactic military structure under our command." Hugh's expression darkened. "That's exactly what the elders feared, humans taking over through influence." "It's also what we've earned," Patricia countered. "We've proven ourselves, why shouldn't we lead?" "Because leading means controlling," David said quietly, "and controlling means the galaxy stops thinking for itself." Luminos manifested nearby, his energy form pulsing with concern. "I've fought for 3 million years under hundreds of commanders. The best leaders make themselves unnecessary by teaching others to lead." Hugh nodded slowly. "We need to refuse Earth's proposal." Patricia hesitated. "That'll create political problems back home. They expect us to leverage our position." "Then we show them a better way." Hugh activated his communicator. "Earth Command, this is Brennan. We're respectfully declining the leadership structure proposal." The response came sharply. "Explain your reasoning, Commander." "Because it's wrong," Hugh stated flatly. "We didn't teach the galaxy to fight so we could control them. We taught them so they could protect themselves. Making ourselves indispensable defeats the purpose." Patricia supported him. "We propose instead a collaborative leadership council, multi-species representation, rotating command, shared decision-making. Humanity participates as equals, not superiors." Silence stretched across the communication channel. Finally, Earth Command responded. "You're giving away strategic advantage." "No," David interjected. "We're building trust. Strategic advantage that requires keeping others weak isn't advantage. It's tyranny waiting to happen." After tense negotiation, Earth agreed to the modified proposal. The Galactic Integration Defense Initiative transformed into true collaboration. Leadership Council established with representatives from 12 founding species. Humanity held 1 seat among equals. The formal ceremony took place at the original summit station. Species from across known space attended. Hugh stood at the podium, uncomfortable with the attention. "I'm a soldier, not a politician," he began. "So I'll keep this simple. A year ago, I laughed at the idea that civilized beings can't fight without weapons. I was wrong to laugh because the real question was never about fighting." He paused, looking across the assembled delegates. "The question was always about why we fight. Weapons are tools, doctrine is strategy, but purpose is everything. Humanity fought our way to the stars because we refused to quit. We're teaching you the same stubbornness, but I hope you'll be smarter about when to use it." Commander Tolvaxis took the podium next. "The Kraltech built our identity on being the galaxy's warriors. Humans showed us we were students pretending to be masters. This humility saved us from obsolescence. We thank humanity for the lesson in humility through excellence." The gentle whisperer's representative spoke softly. "We feared violence until we understood it. Now we advocate for peace from knowledge, not ignorance. This makes our pacifism stronger, not weaker." Species after species shared similar stories. How human training had transformed their security, their diplomacy, their understanding of strength. The firstborn approached the podium. The ancient being rarely moved and never spoke publicly. The chamber fell absolutely silent. 40 million years. The firstborn's voice resonated like grinding stone. "We've observed species rise and fall, empires built on conquest inevitably collapse, cooperation sustains. Humanity earned power through demonstration, then gave it away through wisdom. This is unprecedented." The firstborn turned to Hugh directly. "You were offered dominance. You chose partnership. This is true evolution, not of body, but of spirit. We grant humanity access to the archive of ages, our accumulated knowledge. Use it as wisely as you've used your strength." The honor stunned everyone. The archive contained 40 million years of scientific, cultural, and technological advancement. It was never shared with species younger than 10 million years. Patricia found her voice. "Why, what did we do to deserve this?" The firstborn's ancient eyes fixed on her. "You proved wisdom isn't measured in years. It's measured in choices. You chose correctly when choosing wrongly would have been easier and more profitable." The ceremony continued with the official establishment of the Collaborative Defense Initiative. 12 species signed the founding charter. Hundreds more pledged participation. Hugh escaped to the observation deck afterward. Luminos found him there. Uncomfortable with praise, the energy being observed. "Uncomfortable with what comes next," Hugh admitted. "We've built something good, but good things make targets. Someone will try to corrupt this or destroy it." "Then we'll adapt," Luminos pulsed with determination. "You taught me that survival isn't about strength, it's about refusing to quit. This initiative is bigger than any one species now. It'll survive because everyone has investment in its success." Patricia and David joined them. Together, the four watched ships from across the galaxy moving in coordinated patterns. Training exercises, cargo transfers, cultural exchanges, the peaceful chaos of collaboration. "We did something impossible," David said quietly. "We changed the galaxy without conquering it." "We gave away our advantages and got stronger for it," Patricia added. Hugh smiled. "We taught the galaxy that the greatest weapon is knowing when not to fight." Across the station, in training halls and conference rooms, in meditation chambers and combat simulators, species learned together. Kraltech teaching honor codes, gentle whisperers teaching empathy, Brenthak teaching adaptation, humans teaching persistence. The knowledge flowed in all directions. Humanity learned as much as they taught, discovered that every species had survived their own challenges, developed their own wisdom. The galaxy wasn't a hierarchy to climb, but a community to join. Commander Tolvaxis approached with news. "First joint peacekeeping mission requested. Border dispute in the Corward sectors. They want mixed species response team." Hugh considered, "Who's asking?" Both sides, Tolvaxis's mandibles, clicked with approval. They trust collaborative force more than either side's military. This is the initiative's first real test. Then we better not fail. Hugh started assembling the team in his mind. Patricia stopped him. You're not going. What, why not? Because you need to start training others to do this without you, she said firmly. That's the whole point, make yourself unnecessary. Hugh wanted to argue but recognized the wisdom. Fine, who leads? Commander Tulvaxis and a gentle whisperer named Harmony together, David suggested. Warrior and pacifist, forcing compromise through their partnership. The mission launched with species across the galaxy watching. Within a week, peaceful resolution achieved. Both sides satisfied. The galaxy saw proof that the initiative worked. More missions followed. Piracy suppression, disaster relief, conflict mediation. Every success built confidence. Every challenge refined doctrine. Years passed, the initiative expanded beyond anyone's expectations. Not just military cooperation, but cultural exchange. Scientific collaboration, artistic sharing, the galaxy integrated in ways never imagined. Hugh eventually retired from active training, too old for combat demonstrations but perfect for strategic consultation. He watched younger generations take over, humans and aliens working as seamless teams. Patricia became the initiative's chief diplomatic officer, David its cultural integration specialist. Commander Tulvaxis headed combat doctrine development. Luminos trained a new generation of energy form warriors. On his final day at the main facility, Hugh stood at the same observation window where he'd watched his first mixed-species training session. A young Kraltech approached. Commander Hugh, is it true you fought an elder warrior? Hugh smiled. I survived an elder warrior, there's a difference. What's the difference? Survival means you learned something. Fighting means you proved something. Learning lasts longer than proving. The young warrior absorbed this, then asked, do you regret teaching us? Some species say humanity gave away too much. Hugh looked at the stations, the ships, the cooperative chaos of a galaxy learning to work together. I regret nothing. We didn't give anything away. We shared it. Sharing makes it grow. The firstborn appeared one last time. Human Hugh, you changed our galaxy. We all changed it. Together, Hugh corrected. Precisely, the ancient being said. That was the lesson, 40 million years, and we never learned it until you laughed at our assumptions. Hugh grinned. Sometimes the best teacher is someone too ignorant to know what's impossible. The galaxy continued evolving, not through conquest or domination, but through choice. Species chose cooperation, chose understanding, chose strength tempered with wisdom. And humanity stood among them, not above, not below, but beside, partners in building something better than empire. Something that would last.